Previously, we had the last time, that was quite a few months back, we had a meeting with the recruitment manager at Colorado State University in US. And today, again, as you know, I'm very enamored of the American education system. We have the pleasure of welcoming Miss Chelsea Baker from the University of New Hampshire at Manchester in the US. And please don't get confused, this Manchester is not in England, it is in the United States. So I take this opportunity to welcome you, ma'am. Good evening from Pakistan. It is 3 past 8 to be precise, here in Karachi, south of Pakistan. How are things there, and what's the time there?
Yeah, well, good morning from New Hampshire. I will say it's about 10 a.m. here in New Hampshire. We're on the east coast of the US, so we have the Eastern Standard Time. It is snowing here in New Hampshire. I'm actually at home today because of a snowstorm that's upon us. So we're a little taste of the winter weather we get here in the state of New Hampshire. But all 4 seasons, this is just a little bit of winter. So it's great to be with you all.
All right. I don't know about. I don't know. Great to be with you. Now, for what we are a very. Our city is tropical. Our climate here is tropical. We don't have all 4 seasons. People and children in Pakistan love the winter season, or the winter weather, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I, for one, don't like winters. Okay, but that's all right. I'm not going to go to New Hampshire to study, but students who are here and students who are going to watch it, they will be excited because of the snow and the blizzards that you have there. All right, so let us start quickly with the questions. I'll just fire away, but before I start firing away the questions, please give us let us know a little bit about yourself, Miss
Sure.
Baker.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I'm Chelsea Baker. I've been with the University of New Hampshire. This is my 15th year. So it was my first job right out of when I graduated from university, and I started working in the admissions office, and here I am 15 years later. I've been doing more international admission for the last 8 or 9 years. So traveling all over the world, working with students from all over the world. And Karachi is certainly my review territory. Hoping to get there. I have not been there. I know my colleague Madison does most of the travel to the Pakistan area, but I'm looking forward to some future travel there. Yeah, so that a little bit about me. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter. I have 2 dogs. I've got a husband, and again, being working, really enjoying my time at the University of New Hampshire. I graduated from another university here in the state of New Hampshire, Keene State College, about 15 years ago. And like I said, my first job right out of the university. So I think what I find most engaging and most passionate about the work that I do is doing sessions like this and meeting with students, and then in a year or 6 months or multiple years, then working with students while they're on campus. So really that full cycle that students take, everything from the prep work and preparing applications and working with students who are starting to look at UNH, all the way through till graduation at UNH, and seeing students that I've worked with 4 years ago graduate off and be successful with a university degree from the University of New Hampshire. So that's probably my favorite part about the work I do in admissions.
Right. Excellent. We're very happy that a very accomplished counselor is here. And I firmly believe that years have got nothing to do with wisdom. Had the number of years that I have seen gone by, had they been a measure of anything, I would have been the wisest person because, more or less, you've been there 15 years, I've been there 15 plus 10 in counseling. I don't consider myself wise at all. So,
No.
so let's now continue with students. If you have any questions, please do write them down. You can also give us your questions, okay, in the Q&A session. So I'll just throw the first question, and the first question is, why New Hampshire?
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm sitting here right now looking out. It feels like I'm in a snow globe because of the weather, but four seasons. We have our winters, we have summer, we have fall, which where the leaves change color, spring, all new growth and beautiful trees blooming and flowers blooming. So, it's wonderful to be in a state that has all four seasons and you get a little taste of everything. We have that tropical air, tropical weather during the summer months, but then it quickly changes. So I do enjoy the four seasons. I think a lot of students, really embrace some of the different activities that come with the four different seasons. Our location is pretty unique. So we're in the northeast corner of the United States. We're about an hour north of Boston, Massachusetts. So that's kind of probably one of the larger, more urban areas here in the proximity to our campus. There's also a train station right on campus, so students can be down in Boston in just under an hour. So kind of our location is really nice. We're about 15 minutes from the Atlantic Ocean. So if you like beaches, during those summer months, that's a popular tourist area, and lots of students like to take in some of that sunshine and the warm weather. Um, and then to the north of us is our mountain range called the White Mountains. So beautiful hiking and outdoor sports. A lot of our students take advantage of. So we feel that it's really important for students, obviously, to work hard in the classroom and academically succeed at UNH. But we also want to students to, while you're here, engage with New Hampshire as a whole, take part of, the community here in our state. And while it's small, we can be, from one side of the state to the other in about 3 hours. There's a lot packed in. You've got coastline, you've got mountains, you've got larger, more urban cities, you've got smaller rural towns. So I definitely think, I'm biased because I live here, I suppose, but the area is really wonderful. Do you want me to go into UNH?
Honestly, I'll be honest about this. Uh, I looked up New Hampshire on the map after I met with Madison, because when we had a discussion with her, and I said, "Look, your state is a great state. You know why? Because it's one of the two small states that actually put a man in the White House."
Right.
So uh, so yeah, and then she quizzed me. She said, "Yeah, which one was that, and what was his number?" And I said, "Yeah, I know who he was, and his number was 14 and stuff like that." But
Wow.
I actually looked it up. I may be good at history. I'm a little laggard as far as geography is concerned. So I looked up the map,
Mhm.
uh, and the east of the United States, the northeast, it resembles so much the northeast of India. The northeast of India, it's a small pocket of land, but there are seven states
Mhm.
packed in that small space.
Mhm.
And your map gave me the same impression, because I think Maine is there, Connecticut is there, Pennsylvania is very close by, New York
Yeah.
is very close by. So all those things are up close with one another. So yeah, that is where my second question will be. Tell us something about the University of New Hampshire.
Yeah, yeah. So the University of New Hampshire, and I do have a slide deck I can go through after we finish with the questions, which has a lot more information specifically to the University of New Hampshire. So we have the two campuses, the Manchester campus and our Durham campus. So we do represent. So
Correct.
Manchester is very central to the state. It's kind of our smaller, more urban campus, and then in the eastern part of the state is our Durham campus, which is our main, large campus that's located in Durham, New Hampshire. So we also actually have a law school in Concord. So there are three different campus environments throughout the state of New Hampshire that all represent the University of New Hampshire. We are a public flagship institution, so meaning flagship, we're kind of the large state representation here in the state of New Hampshire. We have about 15,000 students in total. So, as American universities go, we're kind of middle size. We're not super small, but we're not huge. There's some much larger universities here in the US. So we're kind of that middle ground where students, our average classroom size is about 35 students. Our classrooms are much smaller. Professors get to know students within their classes. You're not going to be part of these, monstrous lecture halls where you're just a number in that class. At the same time, we are an R1 research university, so you're going to have the opportunities of a larger research university. We have over 250 different student-run organizations, so lots of diversity amongst our student organizations and groups and campus groups that students can join. So you have some of those larger opportunities. So that's where I do think, and kind of speaking personally, I think a middle-sized university is like the perfect blend of, you're seeing familiar faces, you're getting to know and have relationships with people across campus, but you're also having some pretty large, opportunities, and you're working with faculty who've done research and kind of excelled, within their career and field. So I think that's kind of a nice aspect given the size of the university. Programs, we have over 120 different undergraduate majors. Everything from our different college divisions include our College of Liberal Arts, so more of our world languages, our English programs, humanities, social science, psychology. Those programs are housed under that college division. We have a College of Life Sciences and Agriculture, so more of our biology, environmental science, biomedical science, agricultural science, animal science falls under there. We have our College of Engineering and Physical Sciences, so our all of our different engineering options, our physics, chemistry, math, computer science departments are all housed there. Our Paul College of Business and Economics, so an AACSB accredited program, which is the highest level of accreditation in the United States for business schools. Some really great options there. And then lastly, our College of Health and Human Services. So more of kind of those helping health fields, everything from exercise science, health science. We have a nursing major, occupational therapy, but there's some pretty unique, kind of interesting majors there. Um, we have pre-professional programs, so pre-med, pre-law, pre-dental, pre-vet, and pre-healthcare. We have an education program where students, if they want to become educators, they can go through this program and be certified to teach here in the United States. So yeah, there's just a lot of different programs, a lot of opportunities for students to take advantage of. And I'd encourage you, and I can do some follow up in terms of sending you that list of all the different academic programs because
Sure,
it's
sure.
hard. It'd take us, we'd be here till tomorrow if we went through each and every program. But there are some really unique and interesting programs offered to students at UNH.
Right. So this you mentioned the pre-dental and pre-med program. So is that a 4-year undergrad degree?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's an advising program here at UNH. So typically not sure how familiar with the professional schooling here in the US. It's really more of a graduate degree or a program you do after your undergraduate program. So typically, students will do a bachelor's degree and then go into professional school, so medical school, dental school, law school. So at UNH, while we don't actually have a medical school or a dental school, we have this pre-professional advising program. So students work with an advisor every semester to make sure they're taking all the right prerequisites so that they can transition into professional school after they graduate. They're working on the applications, they're preparing for the big placement exams, which happen at prior to a student getting into or enrolling into a
The
professional
impact.
degree program. So it's just again, students choose a specific major. So we have a lot of students, for example, who will do our biomedical science, medical and veterinary science program, and then transition into medical school. Or we'll have, students will do the same and go into dental school, or, our animal science programs and go into veterinary school. So there's a lot of kind of build up, a lot of support and academic, fostering mentoring that goes on with those advisors and the pre-professional programs.
Hey, I think students will lynch me if I don't ask you this question. Tell us something about tell us something about the the field of artificial intelligence, and are you doing any research in that? And I find it very intimidating, honestly speaking.
Yeah.
Machines doing all the things for us. I honestly do not believe that anything can replace human intelligence.
Mhm.
But what is your take on that? And do tell us something about your AI, and the students did ask me one about AI and the other about cybersecurity. So you can tell me
Yeah.
something about that.
Yep. So we have a relatively, within the last 5 to 10 years, a relatively new cybersecurity program. We have a computer science program, computer engineering. I think one big point that sets us apart from other schools here in the United States is we have what we call an interoperability lab. And I can again follow up with the website because I am not a big computer person. So I feel like I always do an underwhelming job of describing it. But it is basically an opportunity for UNH students to have a hands-on, real life experience in a lab, working, testing systems, doing coding for different organizations. And what happens is these big, large companies and organizations hire our students through this interoperability lab to test. A couple of years, I guess this was probably 5 or 6 years ago, but Apple worked with us to have some of our students test their systems for one of the new phones that was being rolled out. So that sort of application where organizations are working with our interoperability lab, students are working on the coding, they're working on testing the systems, and providing a successful outcome of that. In terms of artificial intelligence, I know cybersecurity is really two areas that we're seeing a lot of growth in. And I know that there is research going on in the artificial intelligence and how how developing that further along is a key focus right now. I think from the college admission perspective, we are closely looking at chat gpt and how that plays into the admission process. So I can't speak to any, I don't know exactly the research that's going on campus, but I know our office in particular is really interested in how is chat gpt affecting, or ai affecting the college application process, letters of recommendation, all of that. So that's kind of at the height of our interest right now in our admission office is taking a look at that. But yeah, I agree with you. I like to think that we won't be completely overruled by computers, but we have. I mean, everyone knows we have seen leaps and bounds in terms of the technology development over the last 10 to 20 years, and I think it's not slowing down anytime soon. So even to think about specific majors. I think really our university is constantly circulating different majors and thinking, okay, is this relevant for a career for a student in the next 5 to 10 years? And even thinking that a lot of, I'm assuming students on the call right now, there will be new careers out there in 5 years that may pertain to you. So I think it's really important for the University of New Hampshire and all other colleges and universities out there to really make sure that they're constantly evaluating their academic programs and making sure that they're preparing students and building up students to be successful in specifically these areas and upon the graduation.
All right. As an ethicist myself, I always ask a question, related to the ethics of how we do things. Like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was a lot of talk of uh,
Mhm,
cloning organs, cloning human beings, stem cell research. Okay, your government spent, I think, uh, $50 billion of your money on how to successfully clone organs. And then immediately a science developed which had existed before, but it developed because of the imperatives of the time, and that was bioethics.
mhm.
So can you touch upon a little bit? I know I'm going a little bit off track, but can you touch upon a little bit how how important you think the ethical aspect of AI is,
Yeah.
and does your university invest anything in such kind of ethical research?
Yeah, that's a great question. I in my liberal studies background always, struggles to answer this because I don't know the most about, all the ethics that are involved with artificial intelligence. And certainly that's why I think an interdisciplinary approach to, studies is so important. You have many different, areas that people are studying, and together kind of come together to create the larger community. In terms of, ethical evaluations and things like that, again, it's kind of built into that system of constantly reevaluating programs, and are they making sense for the real world. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because we're a public university. There's a lot of spotlight on the things that we do ethically, and I think that's one area that we have a lot of, security in terms of procedures put in place to make sure that things are ethical. Just because, again, being a public flagship university, an R1 research university, there is a lot of networking, and a lot of people, continuously working with our faculty and staff to make sure that things are productive, they're moving forward, and all of that is being done in an ethical way. So I do believe, I know, again, this area is changing every day. There's a different news story and a different, something else popping up, and kind of changing the way that we educate and operate. So yeah, but I do think, like I said, being a large public research university, we are ethical in how we do basically all of all of our operations, which is really important, and important to our culture, important to how we operate as a organization.
Okay, I'll quickly forward. There are two questions here in the chat box. If you can see, one question is from Ariba. Are there any employment opportunities for students, and how does the UNH support students in terms of career services? If you could also touch upon a little bit, how does the economy of New Hampshire compare with the economy of the neighboring states?
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's a great question. And the answer is yes. There are lots of employment opportunities for students. Um, two different areas. We have our career and professional success advisors. So within each of, I know I rattled off those college divisions really quickly, but within each of those different college divisions, there's a structure of staff that are there to support students. So this is everything from building your resume, your CV, your cover letters, learning how to interview, doing mock interviews, just that bridge from your education, your university education into employment is really the end goal for many of our students. So really, what I like about it is it doesn't start your last year at the university. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden next year you need to get a job, so let's start doing this. It starts, our career and professional success advisors are in every single or every single English class during a student's first year at the university. So they're planting that seed early in terms of, these are things to start thinking about now, and as you select your courses and get these internship opportunities, really kind of look at it, how it builds up you to support your overall career once you graduate. So those advisors do work closely with students. We also have a support system specifically for international students, our Office of International Students and Scholars. Um, and they do a lot as well in this area of employment and career, prospects upon graduation. Also, students can work. Our international students can work up to 20 hours on campus during their tenure at UNH. So I know we have international students who help out in our admissions office, really across the campus. You'll find international students in all different areas employed, working for the campus. So that's that. Yeah, a lot of work being done there. In terms of economy, you mentioned, New Hampshire is such a small state, with a large uh, tourism economy. Believe it or not, tourism is one of our biggest. Manufacturing as well is another big one for us here. Given our proximity to Boston, we have a lot of people. It's funny. It's you can be in, I think it's 6 different states here in the Northeast within 6 or 7 hours. So while most of our residents stay and work here in New Hampshire. It's not unheard of, for a person to live in New Hampshire and work in Maine or work in Massachusetts, because I'm about 10 minutes from the Maine border, about 20 minutes from the Massachusetts border right now. So it's just one of those areas. And I like how you compared it to Northeast India. I've never thought of it like that, where yeah, a lot of states, right close together. But yeah, economy is well, we're actually pretty known in the United States where we don't have any sales tax. So many states throughout the country have anywhere from like 3 to 7% sales tax for any, um, product that's bought here in the US. And New Hampshire does not have the sales tax. So a lot of people come from out of state to come and buy their goods here in New Hampshire. But yeah, so it's kind of a unique aspect. The other thing that the first primary ballot is cast here in the state of New Hampshire as well, Dixville Notch, which is way up north. That's
Oh,
kind of
yes, yes.
our
The
claim
New
to fame.
Hampshire primary.
Yes, yep, the New
When is
Hampshire
it
prime.
taking place?
Sorry, I think
When is it
Jan
taking place?
later this year. Yeah,
Later this year.
I think
And immediately after that, it's going to be Super Tuesday, right? Do they still have
yes.
Super Tuesday?
I I I don't think so.
Well, it's six states vote together.
Okay. Uh,
So yeah, great. Yeah, New Hampshire primary is the most important primary for both Democrats and
right.
Republicans. So we have more questions. And one thing that I always tell my students is I was discussing the state of Iowa the other day, and
Yes.
the same is true of Iowa. Iowa is a medium-sized state, and but the main thing is it is surrounded by five states that are that have strong economies. So people can always go out, and since you are so close to Boston, Boston of course is a center. Let's now quickly go to the questions. At what stage will you put up the
Yeah,
presentation?
I can, and a lot of this is, let me just go ahead and share my screen. A lot of this
Yeah.
is,
In the meanwhile, I'll just share the question.
sure, yeah, yeah, of
Can you
course.
describe your expertise in the field of psychology?
Yeah, great. So psychology, I'm biased, but that was what I studied when I was in um, school. So it's a great
Yeah.
program. So it's actually one of our largest majors at the university, psychology. We have many different areas that students go into. Can you all see my screen? Just checking to
Yes,
make sure.
yes. Screen is
Okay,
visible.
great. Um, yeah, so psychology, it's a 4-year program. Most of the programs I'm mentioning are 4-year programs. They're bachelor degrees. Typically, it's a 4-year. We do have some associate degree programs, which are 2 years, and then we also have master's and PhD programs as well on our campus. But yeah, the psychology program, largest. There's many different like arms within psychology, depending on what a student's interest is. So we've more of like a clinical psychology program, branch, a counseling psychology, which I did more of kind of that counseling, working with people. I mentioned the research. We have if students who want to do more research. We have a whole research facility for our psychology students. We also have a neuroscience and behavior major, which is a little bit more. It kind of bridges the psychology and the science together. So looking at the brain, behaviors, processing, all of that, which is really interesting as well. Then we have we have a human development and family studies major, which looks a little bit more at like child and adolescent psychology and kind of the growth span or the lifespan that a person takes, and looking more about, again, it incorporates some of the brain and science aspect, but it also a lot of the humanistic or the psychology there. So yeah, so it's a great program. We also have the master's. Students can do a master's and a PsyD program as well, on our campus.
Right. Okay, and there's one more question. How does the university contribute to inclusivity of underrepresented and international students? And this is also related to the question of Muslim students. What kind of treatment can they expect? And do you have halal food for Muslim
Sure.
students?
Yeah, we do have we do offer halal food in our dining halls. We have two different dining halls that students can access. We do have different themed nights, which often incorporate some sort of international cuisine. So yeah, that is really really a fun opportunity for international students, but also our American students to really get into it and really enjoy kind of that learning about the different cultural aspects and hearing from students that represent that background. We do have, I mentioned, our international or our Office of International Students and Scholars, which really looks at the inclusivity of all students, and international students, and like I mentioned, it's just as important for our American students, to be exposed to these cultures and working with working alongside, living with people from all over the world. So that's a really important aspect of campus. We also have, it's called our Beauregard Center, but it is our kind of our Office of Multicultural Student Affairs. So we have everything from a Black student union. We have Mosaico, which is a men's diverse organization. We have there's a number of different student organizations, and I think I mentioned that there are about 250 student orgs earlier in our discussion. And this includes a lot of different cultural organizations, a lot of religious organizations, that incorporates, I want to say there's 20 to 25 different cultural student organizations. We have a number of different religious orgs. We do have a prayer room also on campus, for students of all different religious backgrounds to have a quiet space to use for prayer, at different times throughout the day, throughout the week. It is open as long as our student center is open. So yeah, I mean, I think this it's the curriculum too. I should mention is in offering diverse food of thought in the classroom. And what's really important is that our academic offerings continue, to explore diversity within the classroom and really, incorporate different backgrounds and hear from students all around the world. And I think, when you take a subject, right, it can mean so many different things when you're in different parts of the world. And I think it's, our classes take a dive into that and really kind of explore, what diversity means, what inclusion means, equity, all of that is very important within our classroom, but also within our larger community. I will say New Hampshire as a whole, we're about, I think, about 10 to 12% students of color on our campus. New Hampshire as a whole is tends to lack the diversity that we are looking for. There are constant efforts done by our admission office, by our campus as a whole, to recruit students from all different backgrounds. We have about 800 international students. I guess I should have said this in the beginning to kind of give you a representation of our student population. Anywhere from 800 to about 1,000 international students in any given year, throughout our different academic programs. So it's, we're talking, solid numbers. We really embrace our international students, welcome them. It's also fun for a lot of international students too to take part in some of the different American culture opportunities as well. So I know we have an American Thanksgiving that happens in November, and just this past year, a lot of faculty and staff and community members will host international students for our American Thanksgiving, and it's kind of a fun, just being thankful for what we have, and kind of a fun holiday for us to celebrate. So so it goes both ways, and it's really really great for our international students to experience that, but also for our campus as a whole to learn about the different cultures and be have host these different organizations that students are a part of. So yeah, very important to our campus as a whole.
And yeah, these days, wherever you go, the just like AI, the term leadership is thrown about like a clanging teapot. Everyone is there to make you a leader. And
Right.
like all, I always tell my students that look, the first and foremost, what you require in any leadership role is an obsessive interest in people,
Mhm.
understanding what is important to them and looking at reality from the other person's perspective. And you can only do that if you have been educated in a diverse environment. And I think that's what makes the American campus so special. So yeah, can we please go on with the presentation? And
Yeah,
students can
yeah.
keep sending more questions. How does
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
please.
So yeah, this is just yeah, these I think too a lot of this, I'm here I am talking about how beautiful everything is. This hopefully will give you some good pictures. But just kind of talking about the endless opportunities for students. And I think I've kind of mentioned this before, but we have very successful students, regardless of what your academic discipline is. There is possibility, there are opportunities everywhere in all different majors. So this is a quick look, kind of like a bird's eye view of campus, and I just like to show this so people get an idea. It looks large. I will say once you're there, it does not feel as large, but how campus is designed is there's an academic core. So all of our classes, our academic classrooms, our library, our student center are all very centrally located on campus. And then you'll see surrounding the academic core are three. There's in that light green color are residential areas. So there are 28 different residence halls on campus. So a lot of variety in terms of student living. If you want to be in a hall with 80 students, if you want to be in a hall with 300 students, there's kind of that varying size, which is great. There's themed residence halls that we have living learning communities where first year students will live on a same floor together and also take a class together, which is kind of a fun opportunity or just an instant way to meet new people, be exposed to different, networks and just kind of a fun aspect to campus and classes. And then you'll see some of the purple areas. So over on the left, I do like to talk about College Woods. It's kind of a natural area. It's over 200 acres of walking trails, running trails. We have students will go out and use it for research purposes. It's really just wooded area that is, even if you just have a busy week and you need to go for a walk or go take a breath out and get some fresh air, it's really a really nice area to have so close to campus. And then you'll see, some of our different athletic facilities. We are a Division 1 NCAA institution, so we do have some fun camaraderie around athletics on our campus. And then way off on the right, you'll see there's downtown Durham. So we kind of abut downtown Durham, which is kind of your quintessential small New England town. So that's kind of a quick snapshot of campus.
Right.
And these are some points that I think really set UNH apart from other institutions. I talked about the unique location and our community that we've built, um, and that size, that middle size that allows for close relationships and but at the same time, smaller classes, but also big opportunities, both academically and socially as well. Accomplished faculty focused on you, because we are a heavy undergraduate student population. We have, faculty are on our campus. They're teaching students because they want to work with undergraduate students. So that's a big draw. And then the access to high impact experiences, lots of research, lots of internships, really getting students outside of those traditional four walls of the classroom, rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty in whatever they've been studying. And I know personally that's when it all kind of comes to fruition. Like all those exams I've prepped for, all that studying I've done, like wow, this is such a cool experience when you really begin to apply it. Um, so this is just kind of lists out some of the different. You'll see the map of the U.S. in the top left. So we are kind of in the northeast corner, and then New Hampshire is that middle state right there. You have Maine to the right, and then Vermont to the left, Massachusetts just to the south. So it kind of gives you some numbers in terms of where things are located. This is a little bit more about our numbers. So we have about just under 12,000 undergraduate students, about 2,500 as part of our graduate program. We have students from over 82 different countries throughout the world. Certainly, Pakistan, we do see, a decent number of students. We're always welcoming more, students from Pakistan, from the Karachi area, and then 49 U.S. states. And many of you know there are 50 U.S. states. We are just missing one student from one state here in the United States, and I believe it's one of the Dakotas, in North Dakota or South Dakota. But yeah, so we're maybe next year we'll get all 50 represented. Yeah. This is a little bit more in terms of the numbers of our student to faculty ratio, students within the classes. So our student to faculty ratio is 16 to 1. And then we also report, really those relationships in the classroom are important to us, but we also have a student to faculty and staff ratio. So we also find this statistic really important in terms of those day-to-day interactions, just the check-ins, the how's it going, the staff at the library that are just welcoming you and making sure everything's okay, you're finding what you need. Those are also those day-to-day interactions we find really support students and kind of wrap our arms around students and make sure that they're having, they're successful, they're thriving, they're happy on campus, which is important. And then 84% of our classes are 50 students or fewer, and just 6% of our classes are 100 or more. So kind of going back to that, I think I've been kind of harping on this, the class, that smaller classroom academic size, and 33 students is the average classroom
It's
size.
a matter of interest. Are these maple leaves?
Most of them are, yep. Maple,
Yeah,
yeah,
maple leaves.
maple, oak. Yeah, and this is probably October, the month of October, where the leaves turn colored. It's really beautiful. Yeah, it's one of my favorite times of the year.
You
And
know,
then the
I saw
all
I saw a maple garden not in for the first time in my life. I saw it not in America or Canada, but I saw it in Cairo in Egypt,
Oh,
and
cool.
it looked just like this.
Yeah,
That is beautiful too, and it
yeah.
just reminded me of that. Okay,
And
please.
it's a
Sorry, I interrupted you. Please
No,
go ahead.
no, I love that, and it's fun that the maple trees give off sap, which we boil down to make maple syrup. That's always a
Wow,
fun.
that's
That
great.
that'll be happening here in another month or two when spring is on around the corner. Yeah, you tap the tree and you collect the sap from the tree, and then you boil it down to make this really sweet, sugary maple syrup. So we love our maple trees here in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I mentioned I know I already ran through the different college divisions. Here they are listed out. But yeah, I would say liberal arts is our
Yes,
largest.
can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I read somewhere that the fees of U.S. colleges has gone up 536% since 1986.
Wow.
So first and foremost, I don't know whether that's true. And secondly, where does your college stand when it comes to affordability?
Sure, sure. Yeah, so we have I think I have a slide here later on too with some of our admission requirements and scholarship programs. Yeah, there's no denying it that tuition, like, I think at every college and university throughout the US has gone up, and that sounds like a pretty drastic number. I don't know for a fact what that percentage is. I will be shocked if that is actually true. Um, but yeah, it is increasing. I think what our college campuses are looking at is affordability for students, and the amount of debt that students are putting themselves into to get a college degree is alarming. And looking at a lot of different scholarship programs. So at UNH we have 5 different merit scholarship awards. So this is based off of a student's academic performance at the secondary school level. What we do is we recalculate a grade point average and we put it onto a weighted 4.0 scale. So we would take a Wales College transcript and pull out those core academic areas. And I believe you all are GCSE curriculum.
Yes.
Yeah, so we would
Oh, and
or
A
a
level.
mix. Yes, yeah. So we do weight, we weight different systems as well. So like A levels, AS levels would be weighted, heavily into that overall GPA to really, award students for that rigor. But yeah, we
Yeah.
put that onto a weighted 4.0 scale, and basically any student who has a 3.1 GPA or higher automatically receives a merit scholarship award, and that comes right in with a student's offer of admission. It is good for every single year that the student is at the university, as long as they, keep their GPA up, they stay in good behavior and standing with the university. That scholarship is awarded every year. And then in addition to that, we also have international student scholarships. So it is an application process. We interview students, we get to know them really well as part of that scholarship process, and we get to know, a little bit more of the what the need is from financial need is from individual families, and get to know, okay, how much money does how can we make UNH affordable for you. So those meetings typically happen in the month of February and March, and the scholarship awards go out really early the month of March. But yeah,
Okay.
so that
And
and
do
that's
uh, do
go ahead.
do IB students get a further advantage?
IB, yep. So the higher level exams get and the standard level for that matter. Yes, IB diploma program students, just students who are just taking IB exams. Yeah, they do get an added weight. We have like the AP system here in New Hampshire, or in the US as a whole. That
Yeah.
gets weight in that overall GPA process. Yeah, there's a
Oh,
couple different systems that have that get that weight within the grade point average.
oh. The next,
Yeah.
you can discuss the presentation,
Okay,
please.
yeah, so, I mean, these are the 5 different colleges, and, I would encourage you, if you're, have a specific major, hop on our website, check it out. Each different academic major has a site where it explains, more about that major, what students are doing with degrees in that field, any specific options that are available within those degrees. So yeah, but though that's kind of an overarching look at the different academic structures. We also have a large undeclared program too. So I know we don't see a whole lot of international students coming in undeclared, but I do think if students who don't know what they want to do, they come in, they work with an advisor, and they really figure out, what they want to have a career in. They work specifically with undeclared advisors. To do personality tests or assessments, career assessments, really kind of you know get to the bottom of, okay, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I want a career in. So I want to mention that this is kind of the academic structure. So discovery credits are kind of our general core academic requirements, elective credits. So this is where students can double major, can major and minor in a subject area. Maybe you are undeclared and you don't declare until early in your sophomore year. That's okay, because it's built in through this elective credit that you can do this and still graduate within 4 years. And then there's obviously a subset of major requirement courses that students take depending on their academic major.
All right, I have one more question from a student. He's
Sure.
asking, can you give us some details about campus housing, on-campus housing for international
Yeah.
students and its
Yes.
cost?
Yeah. And the cost, you say?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I believe it's about 12,000 US dollars to live on for an on-campus housing and also a dining plan. It's kind of lumped together because it's
Okay.
nice to have a dining plan, if you're living on campus, and I think it's just around $12,000. I may have to check, but yeah, I mean, there's a variety of different living styles. There's kind of your traditional community style where students all on the same floor share, a large restroom with multiple stalls. We have apartment style. We also have suite style, which are, two living areas that share a common restroom. That sort of style. So it varies in style. It varies in size. Students do have choice when it comes to their housing options. So first year students, list their first couple of choices. Returning students actually pick their exact room. It's kind of like a floor plan that they can go in and pick which room they'd like. So there's a lot of choice in terms of living. There's really the main focus within each of the halls is community. We have what we call resident hall staff. So we have a res hall director, which is a master's degree level staff member housed within that housing option. And then on each floor there are resident hall assistants, which host socials. They get to know everybody on their floor. They really try and create community through the different members of the floor. They're really kind of inclusive, active, very, making sure that students are thriving and they're successful academically, but also, like I mentioned, socially. People are meeting friends and making connections across campus.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I mentioned the R1 Research Institution. We're also a Land, Sea, and Space grant status university. So, meaning that we get funding from different areas to do research in these areas. So, one of the largest university contracts with NASA has been done with the University of New Hampshire. There are actually 26 satellites up in space right now that have instruments that our students have designed and worked on. So, just some really great, again, opportunities within these areas, but so much more. Really more disciplines are covered than just these land, sea, and space. But really great opportunities, lots of funding coming in for research in these areas. And then every spring, we host one of the largest and one of the oldest undergraduate research conferences. So, students who've been, out doing research, whether it's right here in New Hampshire, whether it's halfway across the world, they come back every spring to do their presentation about the research that they've done. This past year, we had over 1,500 students who participated in research and presented at this conference. It's a great way for students. You have to have a faculty mentor to do your research. So it's a great way for students to build kind of that relationship with a faculty mentor and have the open to all of that faculty members networks within their professional field as well. So it's really great. It's always fun to walk around at these poster presentations or sit in on some of the oral application school. I did put up our application fee. We have athletics that factor into this. So there's a lot of reason why these numbers are what they are.
Sure.
And then just, social media is, I know we have a lot of students following us on social media. Lots to be covered there. And I think it's also another way to get more of that student perspective. I'm paid to say all the right things, really kind of following the social media accounts. You get a glimpse into, following students around for a day and what it's really like, to be on campus. So that's always fun. And then this is our entire admission staff from our office. We're all happy to work with you at any point, throughout your university search process. But just know that there are some
You all
really smart.
actually look very happy in these
I
pictures.
was gonna say there are some smiling faces, and that's the one thing I really enjoy about our campus is just how we're a group of great people who really have the passion of enrolling and perhaps. I will say negotiating does work some places. Unfortunately, with us, we just are limited in terms of the funds. So, some students will, come and say, well, this school gave me X amount of dollars. And, it's really looking at the overall cost of tuition and then what scholarshiping you're awarded and what that final number is. That is really important because you may receive a $10,000 scholarship from one place and a $20,000 scholarship from another place. But if that other place is 30,000 more in terms of tuition, you
Absolutely.
really have to look at it on a case by case
Absolutely.
basis. So I always tell students, lay it all out and lay it all out, take a look at it, really, really study it. Don't just make these quick, oh, that's too little, or they didn't give me enough, or their tuition's too expensive. Really apply. It doesn't hurt to get your application and have it reviewed, see what's available out there, and then make that final decision with all of your resources, everything that you have, pulled together to really make an educated decision.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wonderful universities here in the U.S. I think you can be successful. I think some people sometimes there's this like there's the one perfect fit for me and that's it. When I tend to feel like you are you know you are as long as you come to the table with a an outgoing, you're ready to take on challenges, you're ready to kind of give your all to your university education experience, you can be successful on a lot of different college campuses. So I think that's the nice part of American education is that there's a lot of people rooting you on and cheering you on from our end. But yeah, and I would just say again, please, if there's anything I can help with in the future, uh, to keep me in the loop, I'd love to work with you all.
And I think when it comes to scholarships, there's another thing. You are always better placed to get a scholarship if you apply early. If you apply early, that's when universities have the funds, and when they have
Yes.
the ability to actually support you. I hope
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it doesn't hurt to apply early. The other thing that I
Underestimate the value of an education.
yeah,
Students will be asking me, why am I talking about sitting in Pakistan? Why am I talking about an American education when it can be costly? Yes, education can be costly, but the alternative is worse.
right.
So keep that in mind.
Yes. And this is
The
your
anything.
gateway to your
Please
future.
go ahead.
No one can ever take your education away from you. That is yours, and you have that until the day you die. That is yours. Yeah, I agree 100%. It's only moving forward in a good direction, having an
Yeah.
education that will give you freedom, it will give you different opportunities. Whereas not having an education will often make someone stagnant.
And as one of our very important religious figures, Imam Ali, has said, someone asked him, "What is the difference between wealth and knowledge?" He said, "The difference between wealth and knowledge is that you have to invest your energy protecting your wealth, whereas your knowledge will always protect you, and it will
Absolutely.
always stand you in good stead." So thank you very much indeed, students. We will thank Ms. Chelsea Baker from University of New Hampshire, Manchester campus. And she's the point person if you want to apply from Pakistan to the University of New Hampshire. And I'm the point person if you want to apply to abroad from Pakistan to the United States, to University of New Hampshire, to Europe, to any destination. I will leave my number in the comment section. And I think, Chelsea, I can share your email with all the students.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just going to write it in the chat for you all,
Yeah.
but yeah, please.
Yeah,
And
that is
also on our
the
website, my email is there as well. So please reach out if you
yeah,
need
and
anything.
I will leave my email here. You can contact me for further uh, details about foreign admissions, about personal statements, about recommendations, whatever help you need in whichever area. Please do. We will probably keep another session for graduate students, because we today we did not discuss graduate students. For that, maybe we will some other time we will talk, or maybe you can just email me some information or a
Yeah. Or
presentation
I can
about it,
even,
and I
I
can.
know Madison works closely with our graduate student population. Maybe she could
All right.
follow up and do some sort of quick session for you all.
Yeah, and please give my best to Madison as
I
well. And
will.
thank you very much indeed. And it
Yes.
was very nice interacting with you. And I hope to keep in
Yes.
touch with you. Two of my students have actually already applied,
Oh,
and one of them,
awesome. Oh, that's
yeah,
wonderful.
some more will.
Great. Well,
So
thank you
thank you
all
very
for,
much, and good morning again, and good
yes,
evening
good
from
evening to
Pakistan.
you all. All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.